And we are live. Hello, everybody. My name is Noah Clark. I'm joined today by Sam Thompson in the commentary booth, and welcome back to the final round of the PSGL Season 28 Championship on PlayStation 4. We're here in F1 2020. We're here at Brazil, the Interlagos circuit, for round number 10, the grand finale of the season. And while the championship may be over here today, we will still have some fun, exciting racing nonetheless. We got 15 cars, I believe, on the grid or so, and that should give us a pretty decent amount of excitement here today. We're just about to load up into the short qualifying session here today at the Interlagos circuit. Sam, it's great to be back with you again, finally in the commentaries booth, one more time in season 28 here in PSGL, and it's going to be a good one, I'm pretty sure. How are the drivers going to have to do today to have success here in what is looking to be an overcast conditions at the moment in Interlagos, possibly even rainfall later on?
Yeah, well, first of all, hello everybody, and of course, like you just said, rainfall. That is the big question. Are we getting rain here in Brazil? It's quite common in league races and in real life that we do get rain at this track, so I do suspect a lot of drivers have put the practice on the track in the wet conditions. But we are dry in qualifying for now, but for Vapor Noof, or TTG Noof as he's now known, I did this last week, it's like the whole it's like the whole Yannick situation all over again, isn't it?
I don't know.
He is.
I thankfully have gone vapor out of my eyes, so I can just say TTG Noof now.
Oh well, hopefully I can get vapor out of my eye as well because I think it's been stabbing me in the eye for the last week or so. But for TTG Noof, let's just relay it back a little bit. He is on for 5 wins in a row. So importantly for him, he is going on for an absolute masterclass towards the end of the season, and he is looking to prepare for the new game, obviously going no assist as well, and he's dominated the top tier, the F1 of the assist tiers, if you like to call it that one, and he has absolutely dominated the second half of the season, so for him, he will want to finish on a high. But for Devon and Datamo, there's a lot on the line for that second place. Datamo is here, Devon is here, they will be scrapping it out for second place, but for this track, very short, it's quite narrow in places, but a lot of overtaking expected.
And the timed laps are beginning, and Ertamo has come across the line, as well as Efro Chapelelli to begin off our qualifying laps. Maxwell also is on a lap in the Renault. Let's ride on board with Ertamo in the Williams as he's cutting it close in the turn number 3, keeping as much straight line speed out of the exit. Now coming into turn number 4, a very tricky corner to get right, back on the power early, not to extend too much, and then back on the power as much as possible coming up towards sector 2. Let's bring up that lap data split time so you can see exactly what the drivers are setting, as Dertamo is on a lap right now, and we'll see how he does and fares. FRL Ginger is on a lap as well. He just started that off in the other Alfa Romeo. Let's ride on board with Chapelelli. He's a little further ahead than the Williams of Dertamo. Chapelelli, we'll see how he gets underway here at Interlagos as he's about to come around that penultimate turn. Of course, setting a fastest second sector. Oh, but an invalidation there at the end, and he has a bit of a spin actually, and I think he may have knocked off the wing right there of his Alfa Romeo. But Dertamo is going to be the man who sets the first lap of the session, comes across the line, cutting that pit lane line a little bit, and it's a 106.541 to start us off in the timing sheets. Max Rowe, 106.9, a few tenths off of him. TRT Tom, and then TTG Noof with a 106.341, and that is top of the timing sheets. It's a Williams 1-2 at the moment, and the times are just flying in right now. Isaac Kush has gone faster, 106.259 there in the Racing Point car. VER Schender is about to come across the line for his first lap of the session. Now let's see what the time's going to be. It's going to be best for third fastest, ahead of Dertamo. So Dertamo for fastest after setting the first time. TTG Nuth still in second position. Isaac Kush has the fastest time of the session. LR Dwandwick was about to set a lap, but he's just going to go right back into the pit lane, and he is going to be done for now. Still no rainfall. It's actually looking a little bit of a overcast, a little bit of sun coming through the clouds, so we'll see if we get any rainfall in the session. Track temperature is going to be a little lower due to those clouds, so we may not see the fastest possible times, but we'll have to just wait and see. There are still a few drivers on their laps right now. Devin has started his first lap of the session in that orange McLaren as he coming down out of turn number 3, and some Impressive time so far. Slowest of the rest at the moment is Simply Rush with that 107 flat. Just a little slower than Sasakir's time with a 107 flat himself by about 5/100ths of a second separating those two drivers. So they're leading up in 9th and 10th spot respectively. And VER Devon right now looking to get into the top 10 right there and hopefully just get a little bit further ahead than that. Devon, of course, a challenger with Dirtamo in the Season 27 Formula 5 Championship and has been on a roll all season long, has really put in some very impressive performances and has really developed. As you can see there, it's the fastest middle sector for VER Devon. The third sector, very fast third sector, as it's pretty much all flat out here as you're heading towards the start-finish line. As you can see, they're cutting as much of the pit lane line as he can not to have an invalidation. And look at that, P2 for VER Devon. He puts himself into second position with a 106.303. That's still about 5/100ths of a second slower, though, than Isaac Kush's time, which sits at provisional pole position at the moment. We still have a few drivers who are setting times. VER Yannick, who is on a time right now, and we have outlap from Bugatti. Chapelelli is going for another after that invalidation on the previous attempt. So Chapelelli starting off a lap. Yannick is about to finish that lap. He also goes purple in the middle sector. Very usual occurrence here. Lots of purple second sectors we'll start to see. Does it give a good time? It does, actually. 4 fastest for Yannick, so he'll be pretty happy with that one. And Efrael Chapelelli is once again invalidated this time, so track limits becoming a problem for the Alfa Romeo driver, as we've been accustomed to see over the past couple of qualifying sessions. Just not able to keep within track limits here. Brazil is definitely a tough track at certain locations to keep it on track, and he's going to have to go again for another lap. Bugatti has started off his lap, and LR Dandwick has once again, or Dawodek, I don't know how you say that, has started another lap as well after going in the pit lane before. So 3 drivers still without times at the moment. Efrael Chapelelli is going to probably go back into the pit lane for another set of tires as he does, and Bugatti as well is on a timed lap.
Yep, and there's been a lot of action really since the start of the session. Isaac Kush, of course. In my opinion, a driver that probably has been underperforming in the races, but doing really well in the qualifying. We've seen him near the top quite regularly this season, and at some point he was actually top of the standings. So the second half of the season hasn't really gone for him too well. However, I'm sure he would want to at least end off on a high. Would Isaac Kush? He is in the fight potentially to be finishing in second place in the championship, but he would need a lot of things to go his way. And, well, he's doing everything he can to get that second place in the championship, but Devon at the moment will be the one who'll be stopping him. And it's no surprise to see TTG Noof up there. He's up into third place. He's definitely looking like a favourite going into this race, considering the form he is in. On the podium every single round since round 4 in Belgium, which you could argue he was unlucky not to be there.
Bugatti has put himself up into the 5th spot right there. 106.414 is his time at the moment in this session. Efrael Chapelelli and Dawodek are both in the pit lane at the moment. And we do have a comment on the stream. Sam, if you can pull that up. Are we expecting any weather conditions possibly, or just a little hello from the chat? Thank you all for joining us for this final round of the championship. We're here at the Interlagos circuit, and the sun is starting to come out. So as drivers are setting more laps, we'll start to see that track temperature pick up. We may see some faster times come up soon. The Red Bull teammate of TRT Tamar, Yannick, has come out of the pit lane for his outlap. TRT Tamar, meanwhile, has come around the turn number 4 right there and almost has an invalidation. He almost ran a little bit too wide out of the exit of turn 4, and that could have meant disaster for that lap. But he keeps it on the track, misses a lot of the apex there, and there's the invalidation. He really ran wide out of the turn right there and did not hit the apex, ran too wide, came back out on track. That's an invalidation. TRT Tamar is going to have to go again for another lap at some point in the session. FIR Milan is on a lap in the racing point, and he's coming through the second sector. Ginger on an invalid lap. So the Alfa Romeos are just not keeping it tidy on track at the moment. They're having a lot of invalidations of their own. Isaac Kush is on a lap right now and has improved his first sector time by 29/100ths of a second. Schender, meanwhile, a little further ahead in the Mercedes, who sits fastest at the moment in 106.230 territory, but he has aborted that lap, allows Izak Kush through. Actually, I think he may have set that fastest lap, sorry, so do apologies for that. But Schiaparelli and Dawadek back out on track on their outlaps. Maxrow is heading down towards turn number 4 and is looking pretty strong in the runner right there in 8th position. And have we had a crash? We have had a crash, and it's Yannick. So Yannick has had a crash. He spun and destroyed one of those styrofoam blocks. That's not how you say that word. I'm going to stop it. We're just going to say styrofoam from now on. But Yannick has lost a considerable amount of his front wing. That's going to mean a pit stop for him with 8.5 minutes or so left to go. Izak Kush has gone fastest, and it's a shootout for pole position right now. 106.1 is the time to beat right now. Almost a tenth and some hundredths of a second clear of Izak Kush, of Schender in second position. Devin sitting in third, a little slower, it looks like, out of the first sector by about 0.02 of a second. He's coming out of the second sector now soon, and we'll see if he can improve. TTG Nuth is on an outlap at the moment and will be going around soon for his second time lap of the session. We're looking to see what that Sector 2 split from Devon's going to be. It's going to be a fastest second sector, 77 hundredths of a second faster than the previous. So Devon looking really strong in qualifying here, maybe looking to get up to pole position. We'll see if he can do so. He's coming down the start-finish line, cutting across that pit lane line, and coming across the line. That's going to be P2, and it's still about a tenth of a second clear. Izak Kush ahead of Devon, so a very impressive lap from Izak Kush here in the later parts of this qualifying session. So he's looking to get it on pole here today for the last race of the session. LR Dawadek took a little while, but put himself up in the P5. Efro Schiaparelli still without a time, and another invalidation for Schiaparelli. He can just not keep it within track limits. He's going to come around again on the same set of tires and try to go for another one, and we'll see if he can do so. It was a very fast lap, actually, that invalidation lap. It was a 106.130. That would have put him P2 at the moment in the standings, but he cannot keep it within track limits, and because of that, he currently is actually, I think he's aborted this lap, and he's just going to let some drivers by and probably go in again for another set of tires. Still a little bit of time for that, but he has to have a good lap here at the end of this session if he wants to have any chance of getting into the top 5 at bare minimum.
Yep, and Izak Kush, of course, with the track temperatures going up, it looks like the times are going to go down. I believe Izak Kush also set his lap time on an older set of softs compared to the others. It was 2 laps instead of 1 lap. When he came into the pits. That does suggest that Izak Kush did invalidate his first lap and then went again. So it looks like Izak Kush, who is actually coming out now, frankly, will be looking for one more run perhaps. Schender's just started a lap as well. Be sure to watch out for him. As the track does continue to warm up, expect the times to go down quite rapidly for some of these drivers.
Yeah, it is 2 laps for Izak Kush. In fact, he's the only driver who set his fastest time on a set of more used softs. Everybody else on 1 lap old soft tires. Izak Kush taking a bit of a risk there, setting his fastest lap on a set of tires that is just a little bit older than the rest of the pack, of course. Without a Q2 session and a full qualifying session, the tire you set your fastest lap time on in the top 10, that's the tire you're going to start on. Izak Kush definitely looking to start in that top 10, and that is a very impressive time, so I'm sure he will. But you do run the risk of now having to pit a little bit earlier with your soft tires just a little bit more worn than the rest of the drivers. So Izak Kush taking a bit of a risk there, setting that fastest time on the set of 2-lap-old softs. And he's coming out again on an outlap, and this time he's got a new set of soft tires, I believe, on, and he'll be looking to improve that time, this time on a bit of a newer set. This should be, I believe, his last set, so this is probably going to be his final run of the session. Efro Schiaparelli still in the pit lane, only driver without a time at the moment. His teammate Efro Ginger does have a time, but it's a 106.561, and that's put him in P11 at the moment. So struggling a little bit here in the qualifying session in Interlagos. Definitely needs to improve that time if he wants to have any shot possibly of fighting for a podium here today, or possibly even the victory. Izak Kush is slower in the first sector by about 9 thousandths of a second, so he's going to have to improve a little bit here in the second sector as he goes past the Ferrari of Simply Rush, who sits there in P10 at the moment. job by Simply Rush. Did improve his time. It was a 7 flat at one time. Has improved quite a fair bit. 106.521. Puts himself P10 at the moment. It's very, very close here in qualifying. Only tenths of a second separating all the drivers. And we may finish this qualifying session with all the drivers within inside a second. Of course, Chapeloli does have to set a time in order to do that. Isaac Kush is not having a great lap, though. Very sloppy in the second sector. That's put him down by about a tenth and a half on this current lap. And I believe he's just going to be going into the pit lane this time. And yes, he's going to go into the pit lane, and he is going to put on a new set of tires if he has one, or he's just going to be done with this session.
Yep, and not only that, for Isaac Kush, he's got time to set on a new set of tyres. So I'm unsurprised about Isaac Kush in the end. He knew he was down on his time. He weren't going to improve on it. So it's the right decision for him. He's got time to put another set on, get out there again, and I'm sure that's exactly the same mind as most of these drivers. I'm wondering if Dawidek will now do the same thing. He's now coming towards the line. He's got a decent time so far. I'm not sure if he was up there. I just missed it.
He did set a fastest middle sector by about a tenth and a half or so.
Yep, so he should come across the line now, and I expect this will be his best time. He will want to put this in. He's put it into P3, so well done there from Dawidek into P3. I doubt he'll be able to get in now, very much doubt so. He'll be able to get another lap in, unlike a lot of other drivers, which we're now starting to see a few come on our laps now. The likes of Ginger, Sasakir and Chapelele. These drivers coming out a bit earlier than what you'd expect perhaps. That is obviously because they're probably wanting to have that second run just in case they do invalidate. So expect to see drivers looking to come out a little bit earlier that may be under a bit of pressure.
Not to be too surprised, all the drivers on the soft compound tire. If you do not make it into the top 10, though, you do have your choice of tire. If you do make it into the top 10, it's the fastest time you set on that particular tire compound. So all the top runners are going to be on the soft compound tire in the top 10 in this session. Efro Chapeloli is about to start one of his final laps in the session. Efro Ginger, his teammate, is on a lap right now. And it looks like it's a pretty sloppy lap so far, as he has to mount the curb a little bit there. It looked like he was trying to get out of the way, and I think he may have just aborted this lap. It's not looking too quick. He has a big lockup in the turn there. It's been very sloppy so far. We're going to see what the Sector 2 split's going to be, but I have to imagine it's not going to be too impressive from the Alfa Romeo driver, and as you said, probably banking on having to set one more lap in the session here as he's coming out of the second sector. Let's see what that split is going to be. It actually is going to be fast the second sector. Mind my words, 0.3 of a second faster than his previous. So Ginger looking to pole vault his way up into the top of qualifying here. It's a valid lap from Ginger. He's coming across the line. What's that time going to be? P3 for Ginger, a very impressive final lap there, and I think that will be his final lap. Yes, he's slowing it up, and he's pretty happy there, the P3. We'll see if he stays there. Chapeloli is on a lap, has set a fastest middle sector, and he's kept it clean and valid all the way through. So will Chapeloli capture pole position here today? Can he get to the top 10? Yes, he can! It's a 106 flat from Chapeloli. What a banger of a lap right there near the end of this session. Chapeloli puts the Alfa Romeo on pole position. Will other drivers have something to say about that, though? Isaac Kush looks to have struggled coming out of the turn right there. The rear end a little unstable, and I think he is just warming up the tires again for one more lap. But Chapeloli, what an absolute cracker of a lap right there at the end, and he puts it on pole position provisionally at the moment. VER Devon's going to come across the line, and he's going to look to possibly dethrone him. He comes across the line. No! Thousandths of a second off, hundredths of a second, sorry, about 200ths of a second off that time. Chapeloli still on pole position, still a few times to come across the line. TGG Nuth is on a timed lap. This will be his final lap of the session. Can he snatch pole position away? He's dropped quite a fair bit in this qualifying session, sitting in P8 behind his teammate Dertamo, who is a little further ahead on track on a timed lap himself. Isaac Kush has improved, but he's gone off track, and that's going to be it for Isaac Kush. He improved in the first sector, but took it way too wide, and that's an invalidation for Isaac Kush, and that is going to be it for him in qualifying here today. Not too happy with that one. Ginger will finish in P4. Devon sitting in P2. Dertamo's going to come across the line. Does he improve? No, he does not. Does not improve. Stays P7. TTG Noof only improved by about a tenth of a second. Coming out of the second sector. Coming across the line, though. Will he snatch pole? No, he won't. It's only 4 fastest for TTG Noof. We still have a few drivers who are setting laps. Maxrow has an invalidation. Schender tries his best, and it's a thousandth of a second off of matching the time that Chapelelli set. What a thriller here at the end of qualifying. And unless IFR Milan can have a great lap, he's going to go into the pit lane. Maxwell has an invalidation, and it's FRL Chapelelli who has put it on pole here at Brazil for the final round of the championship. It was a very struggling qualifying session, lots of invalidations, but Chapelelli makes it work, and he's put himself on pole for the final round.
I mean, considering most of the session Chapelelli had invalidated, and he looked like to be struggling at this track, he's just come out of nowhere in the final moments of qualifying. He snatches pole position. Absolutely brilliant from him. He's back on the top where he was at the start of the season, but the thing is, there's still a race to go, and can he win it this time? And Schender particularly has surprised me a little bit. I haven't seen him much up this season, and he's into second place, so brilliant stuff from him. And the Alfa Romeo team do seem to be quite high up in the top 6 for both of them.
So there are your classifications here from the end of short qualifying. Chapelelli 106.072 is your pole position time. A thousandth off of that time is Schender. Devin in third position. He's at Cushion fourth. TTG Noof in fifth. Sixth for Ginger. Dawadek in seventh. Eighth for Dirtamo. Ninth for Simply Rush. Rounding off the top 10 is Yannick. Sasakir in 11th. 12th for Bugatti. Max Rowe in 13th position. 14th for Milan. And Tom R is actually going to end up last, about 2/10 off of the 14th spot driver right there, but it's still 5/10 of a second separating pole position from the bottom of the grid. Absolute scenes here in qualifying, so very close from all the drivers, but it's time for our final race. It was our final qualifying session here in Formula 4. Chapelelli has put it on pole for the final race of the season. Can he convert that one into a race victory and end off the season strong like he ended the beginning of the season strong? Let's see how it goes. We're loading up now. It is sunny skies here in Brazil. I'm not expecting any rainfall. Good to see that because the race could get a little bit boring from there. But we have sunny skies, and I hope it stays that way, and we can have some very clean action. It looks pretty clear right there, so I don't suspect that the clouds are going to be building up today. Sam, as we load up towards the formation lap, any final words before we go over the final grid order on the formation lap?
Well, there's not much words to say, except from what can Noof do today? He has been a driver that has been stealing pole positions, has been stealing race wins for the last couple of rounds, and this time he's a bit under the pressure in 5th place. So the champion of F4 this season, or arguably F1 in terms of the assist tiers, as we may want to put it, he is the person on top of the world. However, he is not on top of the world today. He's not on top of Brazil, should I say. That is Chapelelli, and what can he do from the front? I'm very intrigued to see.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's the formation lap here at Brazil. Let's go over your starting lineup for the Brazilian Grand Prix one final time. It's FRL Chapelelli who leads us away on pole position. It's a 106.072 that has put himself on pole position here today. VDR Schender will be very, very interested to get into the lead of this race. He almost got pole, but was off by 0.02 of a second. Devin in third position in the McLaren. Isaac Kush has dropped down the 4th fastest after originally being on provisional pole for the majority of the qualifying session. TTG Noof, as we said, looking for 5 straight wins. Going to have a bit of trouble, though. He starts P5. Did not have the best qualifying session for himself here today. FRL Ginger is a little adrift from his teammates. Starting in 6th position. Dalwadek is in 7th position. Dirtamo, his teammate from the Williams driver of Noof, down in 8th, pretty far apart from his teammate. Simply Rush in the Ferrari, the only SF1000 on the grid, is in 9th position, and Yannick is rounding off the top 10. There's your predicted pit stop strategy, soft hard or soft medium for the drivers today, and that is your predicted pit stop strategy presented by Amazon Web Services. Let's go over the detail in terms of, oh, that's a big off for Yannick. I'm not sure what happened there, but nonetheless, moving over with the rest of the grid, it's Sasakir on the mediums and 11th, Bugatti on the mediums and 12th, Max Rowe and 13th on the mediums, FIR Milan on the mediums and 14th and 15th for Tamar, all of the drivers outside of the top 10 have decided to select the medium compound tire. We're going to bring up that tire graphic for you, ladies and gentlemen, so you can see what the tires are and what the laps of those tires are. As Schiaparelli is lined up on his grid position, Schender is alongside him, and we're just waiting for Tom R to line up on that final grid position slot. And we're going to get ready for the 5 red lights. It's time for the final round of the championship. The engines are roaring here at Interlagos. It is round number 10, and it's 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights at Interlagos. The lights are out and the race is on, and Efro Schiaparelli gets away, and Schender, though, coming into turn 1, is going to take the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix away from Schiaparelli. Lots of ghosting. Devin still in 4th position. Isaac Kush stays in 4th position. Devin, though, is immediately challenging the Alfa Romeo of Schiaparelli. Coming into turn number 4, will he take it? No, he won't. He will slot behind him for the moment. All the drivers coming in line astern from each other. Not too much contact from the pack. A lot of ghosting, though, at the start of this race, but it is Schender who has snatched away the lead of this Grand Prix away from Schiaparelli into turn 1, and Devin is putting on the pressure on that Alfa Romeo driver who has had some problem firing up those soft tires at the start of this race. Isaac Kush stays in 4th position. We have a little bit of scuffling here. It looks to be the Williams of Dertamo trying to get ahead of Ginger, and now it is Yannick who's trying to hang it around the outside and is being taken off track by Dertamo, who squeezes him towards the grass here at Interlagos. And coming into the final turn here at the final first lap of this race, and VER Schender leads this Grand Prix by 0.4 of a second from Schiaparelli. Devin in 3rd position. Isaac Kush in 4th. TTG Nuth stays in 5th position where he qualified. And that was a crazy start for Schender. Got off the line very well ahead of Schiaparelli and currently leads this Grand Prix.
Yeah, great start from Schender there. Schiaparelli a bit caught at the start. I wonder if he's had a few issues warming his tyres up there. He didn't get the start he would have wanted. It didn't look bad, though, initially. It just looked like Schender got an amazing start. I wonder if it was that inside line which has played it, which is a bit unusual, but hey-ho, it's the F1 game. Things don't matter when it comes to real life. But anyway, Schiaparelli in 2nd place. He will be kind of gutted. He would love to lead the way, and now stuck behind the Mercedes in front of him. It's not a purely good sight. And Devin as well, a driver that we know is quick and we know can put moves on drivers who do make mistakes, and who does make mistakes more than Schiaparelli, as we have discovered this season. Not critical to Schiaparelli, not bullying on Schiaparelli. I'm sure he would agree that mistakes have been made this season, and he needs to make sure he doesn't have the same mistakes today. But Devin behind him, a driver definitely looking to pounce.
And lap number 3 has begun, so DRS is activated. If you're within a second of the car ahead of you, you can open up the rear flap from your car, increasing your top-end speed by a couple miles per hour, and that should be very, very good for the drivers ahead. But Schender, of course, the man in 1st position, has all the work to do to keep Schiaparelli behind. He will be rapid in this part of the race as he tries to get ahead of Schender after getting knocked off the start in the turn 1. But Schender, at the meanwhile, survives the first DRS section, and Schiaparelli back by about 0.3 of a second, not able to make a move. VER Devin, meanwhile, has actually moved back a little bit by about half a second, but is braking late into the turn there, and he may have lost a little bit of time clipping the grass there. Isaac Kush will be looking to size up the McLaren there in the racing point for the first move of the session, and we'll see if he can do so. But nonetheless, we're on lap number 3 of this Grand Prix, and Schender leads by about 0.7 of a second. Schiaparelli is not getting good exit out of these turns. That may allow Devin to pounce. As we move on to the start-finish line, now we have the opportunity for the maximum amount of DRS attack here. As the DRS is activated, Schiaparelli actually is getting better exits out of the final turn than Devin. That's allowing Schiaparelli to get close to Schender and not have to deal with a possible battle situation. And it looks like Yannick is getting very close to the back of their Tomo and is looking to find an avenue to get past that Williams driver, but at the moment he stays in P8 at the moment. We're going to ride back on board of Schiaparelli. He's going to get very close, but he's not going to get close enough, and Schender will stay in P1 for the moment. Now you have to start to wonder, do drivers go for the attack, or do they start to conserve their tires just a little bit, extend that gap, and extend the tire advantage? When do you want to make your pit stop in this race, Sam?
Well, you'd be looking around lap 40, lap 15 time, maybe a little bit earlier. But the soft-medium strategy can work around this track, but it is a heavy save of tyres on the first stint for these softs. particularly for those outside the top 10, they may actually just get away with it anyway. A medium soft sort of strategy. So it is soft hard primarily, which may actually do the deal here for these drivers, but some will want to go a bit longer and get that soft medium stint. And well, we've got some overtakes here. Janiek has got past Tatamo just now, so interesting there. And that was a bit of a silly move there from Janiek, if I'm being honest, because Tatamo, well, he could have gone the inside, but he's got around the outside, and that should be done. And in fact, look at Dowdek, who could have got the move. Has Janiek
Oh, some contact! And Dertamo squeezes Yannick off track. That's going to allow now Dowdek to move around the outside. They're banging wheels with the Red Bull and the Renault, and they're not too nice of each other. LR is getting very, very touchy. Now a move on the inside by Yannick. What a move! Dertamo, though, will have to switch back, and it goes back to the outside line. And now he will get ahead of Yannick again. But what tight battles here. Still on the inside, though, is Yannick trying to pressurize the Williams driver. A move on the inside, and he's going to get ahead of him. And now Dowdek is going to try to hang it around the outside. There's void cracks on my end. There's a lot of battling, a lot of shoving here in this race. And now the Ferraris of Simply Rush going to try to get involved a bit. Dowdek again gets pushed off a little bit. And we might start to see some complaints on the steward's office at the end of this one, because Dow is getting very, very touchy. IFR Milan has picked up the first penalty of the session. Meanwhile, Devin is trying to size up Chapeloi. He got a good exit out of the final turn. And now Chapeloi maybe looking for a move on Shender. He's going to move to the inside. No, Shender's going to cover him off well. Coming into turn number 1, now turn number 2, and it stays ahead for the moment. But who gets the better exit? It looks like Chapeloi has got a rocket ship exit coming out of turn number 3. He's going to move now to the outside lane. He's going to try to get into the lead of this race around the outside of Shender, but Shender has the inside line, and he's going to keep the position for the moment. Chapeloi stays in P2.
Oh my goodness, this race, this is exactly what we wanted. There's nothing to play for these drivers. They're just hard out battling, just like they should. Top battling from all of them. No risks whatsoever for them. They are going to be risky in this race, a lot of them, particularly Shender, Chapelele, for example. Devon may not be, because he would want to stay in second place, but Chapelele and Shender, nothing to play for. They are proving a lot, and this battle, of course, between Janiek Dowdek and who was the other one that was battling with them?
Dertamo.
He's behind Simply Rush now. So he's had a bit of a moment, has Dertamo. So Simply Rush is in this battle, and I tell you what, this battle for 7th is not over within doubt. And watch Bugatti now, look at him, trying to size up Dertamo. Is he going to go for it? Oh, he was 50-50 with it, so he kind of backed out in the end, but a little tap to the rear end. Luckily not simulation damage, otherwise that could have been a puncture there for Dertamo.
Chapeloi almost making a move in the turn 1 again on Shender, but decides against it and has to slot in behind that Mercedes. And now you start to see this pack start to separate itself. 6th through 1st, separation now from 7th position, who is 3.4 seconds back. That is Yannick, who is sitting in 7th position. LR Dowdek is definitely going to be a little bullish with the Red Bull driver after a lot of contact there on lap number 5 in this Grand Prix. A lot of battles already taking place here in the session. They're really putting it all on the line. They want to capture this victory here. It's not about the championship, it's about the bragging rights in this final round, and they're putting on a show here in the live stream. If you're joining us, you're watching live coverage of round number 10 here at Interlagos. It is the grand finale of season 28, and now Dowdek, and now into the pit lane is Yannick. So the first of the pit stops, and Chapelele has gone ahead. No, a big spin, and Shender saves it though. So has Chapelele somehow. How on earth did he save the rear end of that car? But Devin has shot himself in the pull into P1, and now Isaac Kush is going to challenge on the inside of the Red Bull, and Chapelele now challenging Shender on the inside. Shender's pushing him off track, and he pushes him on the grass, and a big off for Chapelele, and that's going to be some discussion after this race. That was a little dirty from Shender, and I think he was a little flustered by the move from Chapelele, but that was not good etiquette, and he's off track again, and Chapelele's losing a ton of positions. He's now down to P11, has been passed by FIR Milan, down to P12. Now Chapelele, that has not been the exit that he would have liked to have had here, but it is not a good showing from Schender. That was a little bit of a dirty move, maybe even a bit of a race ban kind of move, because he basically just pushed him off track, and he almost caused an accident there. Now Schender is off track. Now he's getting overtaken. He's making contact, and into the wall is Schender at the pit lane, and this is dangerous driving right here from Schender. This is absolutely unacceptable driving from, in my opinion, from the Mercedes driver into the pit lane, and Chapelelli has retired in this race, and I just can't explain to you, that is some of the worst driving I've seen on track in my life from a league racer.
Yeah, not very good there from Schender, and unfortunately, he's in the pit lane. He's still got no front wing here.
They didn't replace his front wing in the pit lane. A bit of a Mercedes bottle job there. It's shades of Monaco all over again in the worst way possible. But Yannick has come out in P13 and was looking to be a great battle between all these drivers. Schender has retired out of the session, out of the pit lane. And you know, what can you say? It was looking good, it was looking feisty, and then it got very nasty very quickly. And excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, that was not what you wanted to hear, but it got very nasty very quickly, and we saw some big shoves. Now we have a full safety car, so full safety car deployed. I have to wonder, is that half the doing of Schender? Because Schender did in fact exit out of the pit lane and decided to retire. IFR Milan has retired as well, so I don't know if that's the cause of him. But nonetheless, we have a safety car, and it's time for pit stops, ladies and gentlemen. Vevin into the pits, Izak Kush into the pits, and all are going to be filing single file line to the pit lane. And forget about strategy here, because it's just been thrown out the window. Drivers into the pit lane. What tire are they going to start on? And Devin has put on the medium compound tire, so he's going for that very risky strategy. But on lap number 9, that's just not going to work, I don't think. Those tires are not going to last till the end.
I do suspect people to go onto hards. Going onto mediums, like you just said, is very risky. Definitely puncture territory for these drivers if they're going onto the mediums, because usually if you want to do a soft medium strategy, you would be pitting around lap 14, lap 16. And with the grid being less, and actually much closer together, except from Janiek, which actually may play a factor if he does pit now, which I wonder if he will, so... this could actually play in Devin's hand a little bit, but he will be definitely struggling on those medium tyres at the end of this race no matter what. But it looks like the safety car is going to be out for a little longer just because of Janiek pitting this lap as well. So expect to see some interesting strategies going forward, because these three top runners, Bugatti, Sasakir and Maxro, for example, they will definitely be going on to the softs towards the end of this race, and I wonder how they will approach the finish line of this race and where they'll be finishing overall.
Bugatti is now in the lead of this race. He did not stop for a new set of tires. Of course, starting on the medium tires, no real point in doing that. That kind of defeats the purpose of your medium tire run. Safety car's in this lap. Very, very late call, so we are not going to see a lot of safety car. I'm surprised Yannick has not caught up to the pack. So this is disaster for Yannick. He's going to have a lot of time to make up in this race. I'm surprised. But meanwhile, Bugatti is going to get us away in just a few moments' time, as the very, very short safety car has come in, and Bugatti is really slowing at the pack. He is not getting started. When is that AlphaTauri going to start up? Now he will. Bugatti gets away. Sasakir in second position. Maxro in third position. Devin is in fourth position. And into turn 1 we go. A big lockup from the Haas car of Sasakir. That may allow Maxro to size him up. Coming into turn 1, it looks like, oh, a big crash! And it's Ginger and Simply Rush who have gone off track at the start here, and they're both okay in terms of staying in this race. Does Ginger have damage? And he has a lot of front wing damage there. The entire right side of the car is all but gone. Just a little bit of the element left there. That's going to be a pit stop, but I'm surprised the safety car came in so quick. Yannick now has not caught up to the safety car, and he's 22 seconds back from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, this has surely got to be some sort of curse now for the Alfa Romeo team. All season, they've been plagued with these incidents that partially weren't even their fault for the majority of them, and has left them in positions where they maybe not even able to recover. Luckily for Ginger, he could have an opportunity with another safety car, as it is possible, but I don't know about this one. But going back to the action, Devin right on the back of Maxro. He'll be definitely looking to get by, blasting all the overtake, but I'm sure Maxro is doing the same here, so this must be a dangerous move down the inside for Devin. He's got it done. and Maxro doesn't even really defend that much. He doesn't give a real reason to. Lets Devon by and just sits in this train for a little while. Devon's on the fresher tyres though, so he is expected to get ahead of these guys, as the tyres are much more grippier. But for Isaac Kush, just got to stick in with now, stick in the DRS, and he should be fine towards the end of the race. Definitely should be much quicker.
So Devon taking that risk on the medium tires, obviously that's going to give him the grip advantage, the battle advantage, even with these other medium tire runners. Of course, much older tires, their grip levels are going to start to fall off for these medium tire runners soon, and they will have to make their pit stops eventually. But Devon is not waiting for the pit stops. He's already looking to make it past Sasakir. He's right on the rear diffuser of that Haas car. We're going to ride on board with the McLaren driver as he heads into the final turn here, and down the long, you can call it a final turn if you want, but this long sweeping left-hander, Sasakir has nothing he can do. He's just going to have to sit and watch that McLaren fly by him. The Renault-powered McLaren of 2020 is going to soar past the Haas car. Is Sasakir going to challenge in the turn one? No, he won't. He just doesn't have the pace. The pit stop strategy is showing that soft tire runners can't stop. There are no more soft tire runners. And Isaac Kush has gone ahead of Maxro, meanwhile, up in the P4. So Isaac Kush has made the first move of the hard tire runners on the old set of mediums. And now you start to wonder, are those medium tires really starting to reach their end? As a hard tire runner of Isaac Kush is able to get past. Those hard tires, of course, definitely have more grip, but it's very difficult to get them in operating temperature window to make them work very well. So you may start to see these medium tire runners start to possibly think about making their first pit stops as the grip really starts to fall off, because Devon is right on the back of Bugatti now.
Yeah, I expect him to get past nice and easy next time around on the straight, so expect to see a nice and easy overtake for him. It would be soon where these medium tyres will maybe want to come in, but in my opinion, they will try and stick it out for as long as they can. But what looked like a race that could have gone well for them, possibly may have gone really bad with the strategy. But what else could they do really at this point? Because if they went onto the hard tyres, their progression would have been completely stopped. But it could have been a risk really that they could have taken. Luckily, one of them is probably guaranteed points though, and at the moment you say it is Bugatti, and if Bugatti can stay where he is now, he has got a potential chance to be quite clear of his rivals. And of course, going on the softs to the end, the softs are quite durable.
I just want to say, Dertamo was trying to make it past Maxro. Maxro kind of gave him a bit of a shove right there. He kind of clipped the front wing. No damage on that Williams car, but Dertamo obviously on a fresh set of hard tires, so looking to get past Maxro pretty soon. And you might start to see the gloves fly off in this particular battle as well, as Maxro not giving much room. And Ginger's out of this race, and he has retired in the pit lane. So Ginger is saying, I'm done. It's the end of the season. And I can't blame him right there. Some very tough luck for the Alfa Romeo outfit throughout this entire season. And unfortunately, that is it for Ginger and Chapelot. The FRL drivers are done here in Season 28 in F4.
Yeah, bad luck really for both Alfa Romeos this season. All season with no luck really. This battle at the front though looks quite interesting. Bugatti and Sasakir, they haven't got the freshest of tyres now.
Sasakir has a terrible exit, and Isaac Kush is probably going to overtake him here coming into the turn. He's going to move to the inside line, and a very easy move. Sasakir does not even try to fight with Isaac Kush. He knows the pace that those hard tires have over his medium tires, and Isaac Kush now up into the podium spots. It's going to be very interesting now. Of course, Devon really can't afford to make another pit stop. That medium tire that he decided to put on, that's where he's going to go, set to go. And there's a migrating of the host. And FRM Milan has left the session, so hopefully no issues with the internet connection. Ginger has left the session as well. But going to be interesting here. Isaac Kush is going to definitely have the better pace advantage at the end of this race. So Devon, again, like I said, can't afford to make a pit stop. He has set himself to that one-stop strategy onto the medium tires. But how worn are those tires going to be at the end? I just can't imagine him on lap 10 when he made that pit stop. Him going till the end of this race. It's going to be very, very difficult. It's very premature pit stop. Of course, it was a reaction of the safety car. I'm just a little surprised that he decided to go onto the set of mediums, given where they stopped in that race.
Yeah, I think Devon could be in a bit of trouble. I think this is exactly what he's doing now. He does look like he's pushing a slight bit away from Isaac Kush, but he's not rushing too much. he's got two different options here. He's got the less risky one, it's just save his tyres and everything and try and get them towards the end. Or he's got the more risky one, push to the limit, really, and try going to the softs at the end. The pit lane at this track isn't exactly too long, so if he can get a soft stint in, it could actually work for Devon. However, that is extremely risky, and he would have to build up quite a big gap to Isaac Kush behind, and Isaac Kush, unfortunately, has really played it quite well, in my opinion. He has got past Sasakir and Max Rowe quite easily, but he has also got a penalty, so Devon may be thinking in mind if those medium tyres do end up going off and not making it to the end of the race.
Isaac Kush is actually having problems keeping up with Bugatti. He's dropped back a bit. 1.2 seconds was the gap there coming into turn 1. Has gained a bit of time in the turns, but Bugatti is doing very well on that set of medium tires. Is actually caught up a bit to Devon. Is actually within half a second. He still has DRS. Isaac Kush does not have DRS, and he is going to have to... This is not what you want to do in this tire strategy. He has to catch up to Bugatti and get past him, but at the moment, he's outside of a second. He does not have DRS advantage. That's going to allow Sasek here to continue to keep up with him, and Isaac Kush has to make up some big time here in these middle sectors where the medium tires are going to be at their weakest. They just don't have the slow slow turn grip that he's going to have, but he just can't keep it. And now he's finally within a second. I think he got it at the no, but he's lost it again. So Isaac Kush is having problems firing up those tires now at this point of the race, and he is losing time to Bugatti, places where he probably shouldn't be. Does he have DRS? He got within a second. No, he doesn't. He didn't get it in the detection zone, and he's going to drop a little bit behind. Meanwhile, Bugatti, look how close he's getting to Devon. Very surprising. Bugatti, amazing pace on these set of tires despite how old they are, and he's keeping very close to Devon, and he may even try to challenge, possibly back in the turn, get back into first position. Devon has not done well now in the lead of this race. He's not using that clean air to his ultimate advantage.
Yep, for Isaac Kush, he's struggling a lot. A lot of these drivers seem to be struggling a lot, so much so we've got a long train here. Datamo right behind Maxro. He'll be looking for a move very soon as well. But all these drivers very close on pace at the moment. It's very hard to call a winner, really. For Isaac Kush, he has closed in a lot. Bugatti, those hards are starting to come in to place now, but Devon's mediums will not last forever either. So Devon at the moment could be potentially in a bit of a struggle quite soon, and Bugatti will not be the one chasing him. It will be Isaac Kush, but Isaac Kush needs to try and find a way past Bugatti quite soon before he loses so much more time to the leader. Maybe Bugatti pits, but again, that will mean that Isaac Kush will not have DRS, which could put him in trouble if he doesn't have the DRS, which frankly, he does not. So for Isaac Kush, it's all about getting past Bugatti, but whether he can, it's a different story.
Dortamo, meanwhile, has made the move on Maxro, puts himself up into 6th position now, is going to have to try to contend with Dawadek. They're both on that same hard tire strategy, so now you may start to see who is just the faster driver. Meanwhile, though, Dortamo is out by almost about a second from Dawadek, but Dawadek is getting held up a little bit by Sasakir, who has not been able to dispose of that Haas driver quite yet, and Dawadek is going to have to get past this driver of Sasakir if he wants to continue up this nice strategy on these hard tires, but at the moment he isn't doing it. 4/10 back from Sasakir as he locks up into the turn. Sasakir goes a little wide. That's going to lose him more time. Dawadek could be sizing up a move down the start-finish line, coming in the final turn here, and then this sweeping left-hand turn down to the start-finish line. About 0.3 of a second is separating them. Sasakir, a little struggle from the rear coming out of that turn, and now here we go. Dawadek is going to move probably to the inside line, and Sasakir is going to hold the outside line coming into turn 1, and it is an easy move, it looks like, just about, for Dawadek, and he puts himself up in the 4th position, and that was very crucial for Dawadek to split up those two drivers. Sasakir is going to stay in 5th position, and I will see here as Isaac Kush has made it past Bugatti, finally has gone past the AlphaTauri driver. Apologies for the move missed. But Bugatti is down to 3rd position now, and now we may start to see those medium tire runners decide to make their pit stop soon, as they're going to probably move to a set of soft tires, I'd imagine, so they may have to wait still a little bit longer to make that soft tire strategy work. But at the moment, it's a very tight grid there's just not a lot of gaps. And Max Rose had an issue, and he spun, and I'm not sure what happened, if he made contact with somebody, but he's had a spin, and he was at a very peculiar portion of the track, and he does not have much of his right side of his front wing on the car at the moment. So Max Rose is going to be after making a pit stop, and that is really, really disastrous for his pit stop strategy. 19-lap-old mediums, now he just has to make the pit stop. I'm assuming he will go to a set of soft tires, but we'll see how much those soft tires work. As Sasakira is the first of the drivers on that set of medium tires without front wing damage to actually make their pit stop. Bugatti has staying out at the moment, 20-lap-old mediums, and I'm sure they're really starting to see the end of their lifespan. If we can just catch a glisten of the tires right there, I'm going to try to see the detail on them, and it looks like, yep, there's a bit of a discoloration between the worn part and the unworn part. It's not as much as you would expect, though, but I do expect that Bugatti is going to be making that pit stop rather soon.
Yeah, Bugatti surely has got to make that pit stop soon with those medium tyres. They are getting well towards the end of their lives now. They will not be lasting too much longer. With the other two pitting, though, as well, it doesn't really breathe good news for Devon, does it? Because Devon's got to take them 25 laps, and if the other two have pitted on 19 laps, that usually indicates they're around 60% by that point. And, well, that suggests to me that, obviously, if you do 60... divided by 20, that's 3. So 3% per lap, you'd be looking possibly around puncture territory, but it would be unlucky if it was a puncture for Devon. But well, it could still be a possibility. But now we will be getting into the points where I reckon Isaac Kush will be looking to close within that DRS, and those hard tyres are going to start to really heat up on those mediums.
And Dertamo, meanwhile, is getting the best of Dawadek. Dawadek has not kept up with Isaac Kush. He is back by 2.3 seconds. Dertamo, meanwhile, within a second now, and surely will be looking on one of these DRS straights to be making a move on the Renault driver and put himself up in the 3rd position. TTG Nuth, we still have to remember, though, is still within this. He's in 5th position. He's back a little further bit, though, from his teammate. 2 seconds the gap right there. But as those medium tires start to wear for Devon, he could find himself possibly in a podium position. We'll have to wait and see. Safety car could come out at any moment. We could see this race really flip on its side. As expected, those medium tire runners who have finally pitted put on this set of soft tires, and they will be very rapid in this race. How rapid enough do they have to be, though, to possibly get back up into those positions? And meanwhile, there's still a pretty decent amount of this race left. Those soft tires will start to see the end of their lifespan towards the end of this race and start to lose that competitive edge that they do initially have. But as imagined, the soft tire runners are setting fastest laps of the race. Sasakir, 108.880 is the fastest time at the moment. Devon is leading this Grand Prix away from Isaac Kush, and Dawadek still in 3rd position with Dertamo in 4th position. You're watching live coverage of round number 10 here at Season 28 on the PS4 Leagues in PSGL. And it is the grand finale here in the season. We want to thank everybody who's watching live, and thank you to all of the viewers all season long. It's been a difficult time here in the commentators booth for F4, as and I have had a lot of struggles in my life, unfortunately, and I have not been able to make all of these races, but I appreciate every single one of you who have been able to watch me and enjoy my commentary. Thank you so, so much as we continue on with this race. It's lap 24 now with the Brazilian Grand Prix. Dertamo is sizing up Dawadek and maybe looking for a move in the turn 1, and no, just a bit too far back, and keeps it behind the Renault for the moment.
Yep, at the moment, Dertamo 3/10 of him. He did lose a bit of time through the first sector there, so Dawadek will keep the position for now, but definitely Dertamo will be looking for a move soon. I said about Isaac Kush getting close to Devon. It's remained the same, really, for all of these drivers, so no one really closing in. Just one battle between these two at the moment, Dertamo and Dawadek. I reckon we could get Bugatti right on the back of Simply Rush, which could cause a bit of a squabble there. Hard versus medium tyres. Hard versus soft tyres, which should be an interesting battle, but also Sasakir and Max Rowe looking to close in on Bugatti as well eventually. But Dertamo, he's fallen back a little bit. I don't think the move will be done this lap.
1.3 seconds is that gap between Isaac Kush and Devin. As you said, it is staying rather stagnant, but as we go further on into this race, as the grip falls off for those medium tires, the hard tires will finally start to show their advantage. Dertamo, meanwhile, is looking to finally make a move on Dawadek. He's actually further back than he was on the last attempt, and is going to stay behind Dawadek, and again, he really needs to get ahead of him sooner rather than later, as those hard tires will start to lose their grip. He just won't have the grip to battle. But now, down this DRS straight, he will be looking for an inside move on the inside of Dawadek, and Dawadek will try to hang it around the outside, but he cannot do so. Dawadek moves down to P4, and Dertamo is up into the podium positions. His teammate now, who has caught up to Dawadek after his teammate Dertamo had been held up a little bit by Dawadek, will now look to get ahead of the Renault. Dawadek is going to be behind Dertamo now, and TGG Nuth is going to be closing in rather soon.
Yep, TGG Nuth, the champion, of course, of the division. Very quickest driver really on the grid, arguably statistically, of course. He is, but he'll be joining this battle very soon, and this is not over for this battle. I don't think. I think Dawadek will be setting up for a move very soon. You put the overtake button on there slightly for a minute. He's got the ERS really to catch up with him, but he's got to really close that gap to Dertamo now. That is his mission for Nuth. It is saving that ERS, I'm afraid. He's not got much of it. He has to show it on pure pace and has to be a bit handicapped on the straights a little bit, and locking up like that isn't going to help you into turn 1, and as you can see, he's now back out of the DRS, but slowly back in it slightly. But at the moment, this is the only battle on the track, but Bugatti is closing very quickly on Simply Rush. Can he get there? It's going to be a tough ask.
He is back by 6 seconds, but by how much time can you gain on Simply Rush on these laps left? And meanwhile, those soft tires will continue to degrade, and their competitiveness advantage over the hard tires will degrade very, very quickly. So Bugatti, 6 seconds back, I don't think he's gaining enough time on these laps at the rate that he'd like to be able to get up to Simply Rush, who is sitting in 7th position. Simply Rush, you have to say, a lot of struggles in the season, but he's had a relatively nice season for himself, and he should be pretty happy being one of the lone Ferrari drivers on the grid for most of the season.
Yeah, Ferrari haven't had the season as a constructor, have they really? They've had a lot of difficulties in this division, but not only that, in the drivers, as you said, Simply Rush, he's just had a quiet season, hasn't he? 34 points there, and I think obviously a few podiums now and again as well this season. He's had a decent season, considering he's basically been the lone Ferrari, and, well, Ferrari haven't really had Charlie about for ages, I don't think. It says he's in that Ferrari team. I haven't seen much of him in quite a while, so interesting. But Ferrari down in 7th. They are actually in a battle with Renault for 6th place in the constructors, but other than that, maybe the big battle for 3rd between McLaren, AlphaTauri and Racing Point. Yeah, there's not really much battles going on really in constructors right now. Maybe for the wooden spoon at the back as well, which is being contested for by Red Bull, Mercedes and Haas.
Dertamo, meanwhile, stays in P3. Dawadek is trying to get close up. TTG Nuth has not cut up very well, and he's outside of a second, and I think he has just gone within a second. Did he get it within the detection zone, though? I don't think he did. No DRS for TGG Nuth. He's going to lose time. Dawadek is going to continue to keep it up in 4th position, ahead of Nuth, and more crucially, keeping up this battle with Dertamo. Dawadek has not let Dertamo slide. He's still very much of an attack window, and if he can do it soon, he could find himself back up in the podium positions. There's no penalties for all of those drivers there in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. TTRT Tom R has made up a good couple of places. He does have a penalty, though, and Simply Rush is within that penalty window to pick up 6th position, so it would be a good end for the Scuderia team if he can keep up within that 3-second window, or possibly even if Tom R picks up another penalty. Isaac Kush, still with only that 3-second time penalty, still the gap about the same, 1.2 seconds, so just not cut up a lot of time on Devin. Devin holding a good race here in 1st position for the VER drivers. A very impressive driver all season long. And Devin looking to secure one of those top 3 spots, possibly top 2.
Yep, and Devin obviously looking for that 2nd place. I think he'll get it now, that 2nd place in the championship. He had it before it looks pretty certain he'll get it now, unless obviously anything out of the question happens to him. Of course, like we said, a puncture can happen to him, which could open the door to Tamo. But Tamo, looking for that third place in the championship, he looks quite calm for it as well. There's a lot of drivers contesting that. But with Devon having that penalty, it looks like Devon may not be able to reach it, but there is a gap between the two of them, so yep, still a possibility. And if Dawadek and Noof comes back at Dotamo, then Dotamo could be in trouble for that third place spot in the championship.
Just a little ask from the comment section. Nuth right there, about 20% ERS he has in the bank, so not a lot to attack with. Dawadek has almost 100% of his ERS. He's really saving it up, trying to find that opportunity to use all of that power. Dawadek sitting in fourth position behind Dirtamo. Dirtamo is using quite a bit of overtake out of the exit of corners. He has about 30% in the bank. Does not have a lot to defend with. Dawadek in a nice advantage here on the ERS management as he sits in fourth position. Has used up a bit of that overtake, but it's getting very close. In fact, I think he is going to be sizing up a move right here. You can see right there. Let's bring up the telemetry right there so you can see the full effect of this battle. He's not using the overtake there, though. He does have the DRS. He's staying out of the dirty air of Dirtamo, actually. Not getting a lot of slipstream, and he stays behind Dirtamo for the moment. But Dirtamo has dropped back by 3.8 seconds. He is definitely out of this top two battle, and he just has to contend with Dawadek. TGG Noof, probably not a lot of opportunity, though, to make up a move on the fourth spot right there. He just really hasn't caught up to Dawadek at all. He's never really been in a position to be battling. Of course, Dawadek could make a mistake, but at the moment, TGG Noof looking for a very solid fifth position in this race.
Yeah, TGG Noof, he's been quite quiet, hasn't he, really, this race, to be honest? We would have expected more, really, for him going for 5 wins in a row, but I think, you know, job's done for him. He's just going to relax, have a nice race, and really, he's had a nice race. He's not really had an aggressive race or a fun race, I would say, but he's been really on his own, and he could still pick up a podium if these two have a little incident, or, of course, penalties play into mind, because Totamo and Dawadek could still get one. But it looks like it's going to be a comfortable 5th place for Noof at the moment. Unless, again, these two get into battle a bit more, which they are tending to do. Isaac Kush, though, now is starting to close on Devon. So I wonder if we'll see a last few laps battle between these two.
It is now 1 second that gap. As we said, 20 lap old the same between the medium and the hards, but the hards definitely have the grip advantage at this point. A little tiny locker from Isaac Kush does not lose him any time. In fact, gains him some time. And now he's going to start to get within that DRS range. He's not going to have it down this straight, meanwhile, so Devon still has the advantage of that clean air without the DRS. Isaac Kush, though, is going to be closing up soon, and now he'll have DRS soon, and he'll be able to make a move. Meanwhile, Dawadek is really sizing up Dirtamo. Dirtamo got a bad run out of the final turn right there. He's going to move to the outside line. Dirtamo, can he defend coming into turn 1? Dirtamo slots behind Dawadek, so Dawadek back up in the P3 in this race. A nice move ahead of the Williams driver, and he's back up into the podium positions. Dirtamo will try to make a counter-offensive, but I don't think he has to run out of turn 3, and coming into turn 4, no, stays in P4. TGG Noof saw that battle happen, didn't really gain any time, still about a second out of these drivers, and it's just been a very quiet race for Noof. He just hasn't been able to catch up with Dawadek and Dirtamo in this race.
Yep, and for Noof, he's just been sitting behind, really, for all of this. I don't think now he's really going to be moving up positions at the moment.
Meanwhile,
hungry
oh, well, there was going to be a battle there. Sorry, Maxro getting ahead of Yannick, but Yannick just decides to let him by, so he's not in the mood for a battle today. He just wants to get this race over with. And Maxro up into the point-scoring positions in P10. We'll see if Yannick decides to make an offensive and does go for the attack at some point in this race. But meanwhile, we move on to lap number 33 of this race. There's just 4 more laps to go with Season 28 in F4, and Devon is in the lead, but Isaac Kush is 6/10ths back and now has DRS. He can now attack the leader of this race and can go for the victory. We have a yellow flag, and I think that is a Red Bull, and I think it is Yannick who has had a spin. He does. He is speeding back up. It looks like he's okay. No front wing damage for the hard tire runner there, but he loses a bundle of time, and it's been a pretty defeating race for Yannick in this race, and he's been back by a fair bit, and that safety car restart did not help him at all. I'm really shocked the safety car did not let him catch up to the grid.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Yannick as well for that. Obviously, I think Maxro as well has pitted. He's pitting just for that fastest lap, just to get the same as what, of course, the driver in ninth will get 2 points in the end, of course, with the fastest lap. So that's exactly what he is going for. Devon, though, he looks like he's set to win this race, perhaps. Isaac Kush, though, he is coming for it, but unfortunately, he has a penalty, which may be costly of it.
Devon, a big lockup into turn number 1. That's going to allow Isaac Kush to catch up some more time. Oh, but a little bit of problems coming into turn number 2 right there, and he off the curb a little bit there. Now coming towards turn number 4. Let's see if Isaac Kush can get ahead. He cannot. He's just a bit too far back, but the move is coming, ladies and gentlemen. You can just feel it. There are 3 more laps to go in this Grand Prix, and Isaac Kush is looking to make a move on the leader of this race. It may not be for the win. He has a penalty. Devon does not, so Devon will pick up the victory regardless and pick up that second place in the championship, but Isaac Kush is going to make him work for it because he's looking for a move probably on the penultimate lap of this race, and coming through the third sector now, and it's going to be very, very close between these two drivers. Hopefully a little bit of fireworks at the end of the season. Sasek here has picked up a 3-second time penalty, and he is down in 9th position. Back by 29 seconds, though, is Max, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Maxro has penalties of his own. Here comes Isaac Kush, and VR Devon's not even going to bother with the battle. He's just going to let by the racing point, and he knows that he doesn't really need to battle here. He can't afford to have a big mistake, get some damage, and lose the time. So Devon lets by Isaac Kush, and now just has to stay within 3 seconds, and he can capture this victory. Meanwhile, Bugatti has picked up the fastest lap of this race, and that's very surprising on 12-lap-old soft tires near the end of this race. Dertamo and Dawadek, meanwhile, are battling, and Dertamo has gone back ahead of Dawadek, so this race is not over, ladies and gentlemen. Dertamo back ahead, up into the podium spots. Bugatti is ahead of Simply Rush. Simply Rush has been passed by the AlphaTauri. Simply Rush may be looking to challenge back on the inside. It's just too tight at that particular portion of the track. Meanwhile, though... Yeah, oh, sorry. To continue.
No, go on.
I was just... Got to keep up these battles, ladies and gentlemen. It's still so close with each other. Devon is dropping back, but not by enough to cause any concern. Yannick has picked up the fastest lap of the race, and that may be the one that gets him that final point, though it won't be a point for him. He's outside of the top 10. Meanwhile, Dawadek is going to size up a move. He has one more chance. He has 2 more chances, actually, but he may make it on this particular occasion. A lot of slipstream, a lot of battle. He looks to the inside, decides against it. Dertamo, a big lockup coming into turn 1. Coming into turn 2, who has the better run? Oh, Dawadek's off track, and he hits his front wing, and he has damage. He comes back on track, and that's it for Dawadek for a podium finish. TTG Nuth has got himself up into 4th position after the mistake from Dawadek. He had a bad run. He clipped the curb too much. TRT Tom R, meanwhile, might be looking for a move on Bugatti. Decides against it. He does have penalties. He will not be picking up that position. Isaac Kush, meanwhile, was just navigating these final few turns. 1.5 seconds is the gap. So if it was just a few more laps to go, Isaac Kush be looking to capture this victory. But there's just not enough time. Devon losing time to that hard tire runner, but not by quite a lot. As Isaac
he's got a puncture!
Oh, big puncture for Devon! Unbelievable puncture! And that was what we were saying. Problem for him. Isaac Kush is going to pick up the victory here in Brazil. What scenes in the final race of the championship. Isaac Kush is your winner. Dertamo in 2nd, and TTG Noof is going to pick up a podium. Dawadek in 4th. Devon is going to finish, I think, just in 5th. No, he gets passed by Bugatti, and Devon is going to finish all the way down in 6th position. And Isaac Kush has picked up the win. A puncture for Devon at the end of this race. Unbelievable scenes! Isaac Kush is your winner for the final round. And what does that say about Devin, though? Has he picked up P2 in the championship? A puncture on the right rear tire, I believe. Actually, it looks like he might have it on which side of the car. I'm not too sure. It might be it's one of the rear tires. But nonetheless, has he picked up P2? He's dropped up a lot of positions in this race because of that puncture. But Isaac Kush wins it at the end. What a thriller here for the final round.
I don't even know who's got second place. I think it's Tatamo. Has Tatamo won this season? I don't think he has, but I don't even think Devin has. They both got the same amount of podiums. I think Devin has this just because he's had more second places than... Actually, screw that. I think Tatamo is in second place because he's just got second place here. And they're both on the same second places now. But Tatamo has an extra podium. So I think Tatamo, right at the death, has just snatched second place in the championship. Incredible.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But Isaac Kush dances his way up to the top step of the podium. He's your winner at the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's a Williams 2-3, and Nuth, we said it was 5th place for him. He got up to 4th because of the issue with Dawidek, and then a puncture at the end for Devin gets him that 3rd spot. And Nuth, meanwhile, he doesn't pick up that 5th win in the row, but he does pick up a podium to kick off and end off an amazing final round in the championship. He's your champion, and he's in 3rd position. But Isaac Kush picks up the win here at Brazil. Dertamo in 2nd position. TTG Nuth in 3rd. 4th for Dawidek. 5th for Bugatti. Devin in 6th position after that puncture. Simply Russian 7th. 8th for Tamar. 9th for Sasakir. Max Rowe in 10th. 11th for Yannick. Efro Ginger in 12th position. 13th for Schender. 14th for Milan. And Schiaparelli finishes in 15th. It's the bottom 3 here who have DNFs. Did not finish this race. Actually, 12th for Ginger as well. Sorry, did not finish this race. Well, that was a final round in the making. Lots of battles, lots of action, drama all around. A puncture at the end for Devin. And Isaac Kush picks up the win in the most unlikeliest of scenarios. We were saying those medium tires. I just didn't think they were going to make it till the end. There was no way stopping on lap 10 those medium tires are going to make it. And I think Devin took the let's push the tires till the end strategy, and it didn't pay out for him. A big puncture, a big spin-off. He reset on track because of it. And that is it. Isaac Kush is your winner in this final round of the championship. And we're going to get some podium interviews, I hope, with all those drivers and get the reaction towards the end of this race.
Yep. So we need to get those drivers in, of course, which would be Nuth Tatamo and Isaac Kush. That was a shocker of a win, really, for Isaac Kush. I wasn't expecting that at all.
I don't think anybody could have anticipated that kind of end to a Grand Prix. That was unbelievable. A last lap puncture for Devin was easily going to pick up the win because of the penalty. A puncture kills it, and it's the final few turns. If there was a championship on the line, it would have been that much more special. But it was special nonetheless. Isaac Kush is probably flabbergasted that he's picked up this win. That penalty looming over him the entire race. He only picked up the one. And that has allowed him to pick up the victory in the final round. Just absolutely amazing, and a final race here in season 28 where we have seen record-breaking numbers in PSGL in terms of viewership, subscribers, and likes, and all-around impressions. That's just the kind of way you want to end a season. Pure drama. For Devin, maybe not so much the way to end, but an exciting round in the championship nonetheless.
Yeah, most certainly. I've just invited 2 of them to the group. Well, that'd be Tatamo and Nuth. Isaac Kush, though, I don't think he's left the session, so I think he's just gone off in the end. I don't know where he is.
I just want to say thank you, Five Gum. I appreciate your compliments, and I glad you liked the commentary, guys. So we do have TGG Nuth in the interview room. I think he's the only driver at the moment in the interview room, so we can interview him first. Nuth, it wasn't that 5th win in the row, but you got a podium in the most unlikely of circumstances. Talk us through that Brazilian Grand Prix. A very quiet race for you. You were sticking with those hard tires, not really able to catch up with your teammate and Dawodek. Dawodek having a mistake, you pick up P4. That puncture from Devin at the end allows you to pick up that podium position. An amazing way to kick off a championship-winning season for you. Talk us through that race.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't deserve a single point today. I was driving horrendously. That's one thing. I already messed up quali by doing 2 laps and screwing over Tomabo. So, don't know if I get a penalty for that or I don't know. It's the end of the season, so guess he won't send it in. If he does, then fair play, because I completely blocked him. And yeah, my pace was nowhere. My pedals were absolutely fucked. Like, sorry to say it directly. But that was, like, I had, like, my throttle was on like 20-30% through basically every single corner at one stage. So I couldn't keep up at all, and I had to use all my ES to keep up. And yeah, to be honest, I just finished that far up because of the crashes around me, and also because of the luck with the puncture at the end, because my pace was horrendous.
Sam, any questions for our champion of Formula 4, that final round of the championship, picking up that podium spot?
Yep, and of course, before you get a sigh, you have a sigh of relief, because I do have a question, really. Obviously, congrats on the championship this season, a well fought hard championship. That's not my question, though, do not worry. My question really is to do with this championship, and now that you've won that, it's arguably, if you want to put it, and I've said this before, you've now just basically won the F1 of the assist drivers. And I believe I saw on your Twitter a few weeks ago you wanted to go no assist for next game. And with that, what's the ambition for next game going forward now that you will be going no assist, or, well, planning to go no assist next game?
Yeah, of course, the goal is to get into the no assist tiers, but I think that I might not have the pace for that. So maybe I don't get into F3, F2 or something like that, just because the pace isn't there at the moment. But yeah, that's the end goal, to move up the leagues in PSGL.
Well, you
Yeah,
definitely did it here. You know, F4 is the Rising Star Championship as it's seen, and you really, really did well. A driver who we were not looking at the beginning of the season to pick up the victory in the championship, and you proved everyone wrong, including us here at the top of the commentary booth. And you really, really improved a lot. And definitely, I think, maybe not Brazil here, but overall, the pace has been very strong. And there's definitely going to be big things in the future for you.
Thanks.
All right, Sam, what are you going to say?
I was going to ask one more question. I was going to expand on the question. So next season, obviously, you may not have the belief to be on the pace of F3 or F2, for example. And what about next game in general? What is your goals or targets? Is what the specific question was in the end, towards the end of next game. Once you have gone no assist, are you looking to try and rise up to F1 potentially, or are you just looking to really get suited to no assist, get it all going, and move up that way?
Yeah, I'm not one who sets like super high targets. One thing that I want to do is get consistent relatively quickly, or like practice a lot to get used to it. Because at the moment I'm just nowhere in terms of pace and in terms of consistency. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna work on from day one on. And I don't know if I have the potential to get into F1, but my goal is definitely to get into F3 and F2 at some point. Maybe not instantly next game. But yeah, that's the goal for the future.
A very, very nice end to your championship. Again, congratulations, of course. You are the F4 champion now officially at the end of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, what can you say? It was an amazing round to the championship to finish it off here in Season 28. This has been PSGL's Formula 4 World Championship. We still have some racing to go. The Formula 1 Championship in PSGL is underway, so catch in that live if you can and catch the top drivers in the world battle it out in the final round. It has been an absolutely amazing championship, and I'm definitely going to be looking for our boy Duncan because he's right in the mix there. A little bit of VSR in there, you know. But we like you, Big Z. But nonetheless, thank you so much, everybody. And I just want to say thank you to all of the people who work at PSGL, Big C, Jack W. Coms, Human Fish, Maku, Kryptonite. You guys are all amazing. You make PSGL what it is. It's continuing to be the most successful league on PS4 and PC in a pro amateur scene in the world, in my opinion. Absolutely amazing. And thank you for the opportunity to be commentating F4. Sam, of course, we worked together at VSR, but it was when I found out I was going to commentate with you this season, I was absolutely excited. I knew it was going to be a great pairing, and it absolutely was. So it was a pleasure all season long to commentate alongside you. It was a pleasure to commentate the absolute talent that we had at F4 this season. A very, very well gifted amount of drivers here, and they will be battling out throughout PSGL as the seasons continue on. We're nearing that season 30, but season 28, record numbers, 2,000 subscribers, hundreds of viewers live at one point. The PC Championship, absolutely amazing. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's joined us live all season, and what a way to kick off the final round. For the final time, my name is Noah Clark. You've been joined by Sam Thompson in the commentary booth, and Season 28 is a close. Thank you so much, and have yourselves a wonderful night.